Coming up, a review of the book An African History of Africa from the Dawn of Humanity to Independence, written by Zeinab Badawi. Namaste friends, my name is Shil Subramanian Paimal and you are listening to the Histology podcast. Before I proceed, a full disclosure. This book was bought with my own money and not been provided to me by the author or publisher. Little bit about the author. Zeinab Badawi is an award-winning broadcaster, journalist and now the president of SOAS, University of London. Born in Sudan, she has worked in the British media for several decades. Let me read a brief description of the book from the back cover. Quote, "Everyone is originally from Africa and this book is therefore for everyone. For too long, Africa's history has been dominated by Western narratives of slavery and colonialism or simply ignored. Now, Zeinab Badawi sets the record straight. In this fascinating book, Badawi guides us through Africa's spectacular history from the very origin of our species through ancient civilizations and medieval empires with remarkable queens and kings to the miseries of conquest and the elation of independence. Visiting more than 30 African countries to interview countless historians, anthropologists, archaeologists and local storytellers, she unearths buried histories from across the continent and gives Africa its rightful place in our global story. The result is a gripping new account of Africa, an epic, sweeping history of the oldest inhabited continent on the planet, told through the voices of Africans themselves." Unquote. This, Badawi's first book, emerged from a 9-part documentary series for BBC World News. Badawi's opening ploy, "Everyone is originally from Africa and this book is therefore for everyone," is followed by nearly 500 pages of dense, often fascinating historical detail. One of the book's most notable strengths is its breadth. Badawi meticulously traces the history of Africa from the earliest human origins to the complex tapestry of ancient civilizations, the impact of external influences, and the intricate path to independence. Her approach is both chronological and thematic, which helps readers understand not just the sequence of events, but also the broader patterns and forces that have shaped African history. Badawi succeeds in presenting a history that is both grand in scope and deeply personal. Her discussions on early human migration, the rise and fall of empires such as Mali and Great Zimbabwe, and the impact of European colonialism are particularly illuminating. The book challenges Eurocentric perspectives by emphasizing indigenous achievements and contributions to global history. The work is also notable for its balanced analysis. Badawi does not shy away from discussing the complexities and contradictions within African societies, including conflicts and challenges faced by the continent. This nuanced approach ensures that the history presented is not only overly romanticized, but rather reflects the multifaceted nature of Africa's past. In terms of accessibility, Badawi's writing is engaging and clear, making complex historical events and themes understandable without oversimplifying. Her storytelling ability brings historical figures and events to life, while her analytical insights provoke thoughtful consideration of how historical legacies continue to impact contemporary Africa. Some of the things I personally found interesting. First, the arrival of the Arabs on Africa's east coast in the 7th century marked the first time the Africans were captured and sold in an international, extensive and organized trade. The Arab presence also redrew the identity of the east coast of Africa, with Arab and Muslim cultures becoming inextricably linked with that of indigenous African. As one UNESCO official explained to Badawi, this has led to ambivalence. On the one hand, African Muslims are faithful adherents of Islam and are grateful the religion spread to Africa. On the other hand, many millions of Africans were enslaved by Arabs who looked down on them. Another factor Africans have come to terms with is that fellow Africans were involved in the slave trade. Second, the slave trade was as catastrophic as it was extensive. Between the 16th and the 19th centuries, at least 12.5 million enslaved Africans were brutally ripped from their homes and sent across the Atlantic Ocean. It is likely that as many as 2 million did not survive the arduous journey. Third, once the Africans were overcome militarily, the Europeans set about governing them. They justified their conquest by claiming it was to civilize and Christianize them, and indeed some may have sincerely believed that. But overwhelmingly, they wanted direct rule in Africa to be able to exploit their resources. Fourth, many African historians believe that there has been a tendency in the West to describe those Africans who did not resist colonial rule as peace-loving and those who fought back as being bloodthirsty. Fifth, the World Wars were among the most significant catalysts in generating nationalistic sentiments in African colonies. It is estimated that more than 2 million Africans contributed to the First World War and more than 1 million to the Second. Africans fought alongside white soldiers and endured the common experience of the suffering of war. Sixth, after the First World War, there was a drive by colonial authorities to educate some Africans so that they could perform basic clerical duties in their administrations. Schooling immediately improved rates of literacy, which had been very low. Colonial education was expedient. For the most part, it was aimed at producing a subservient African who would serve the colonial regime. Education helped broaden minds and ideas and proliferate nationalist sentiment. Seventh, the dozens of African intellectuals whom Badawi met unanimously agreed that the evidence shows that exploitation far outweighed economic development and that on balance the colonial era was a period of economic growth without development, an era of lost opportunities and humiliation for the peoples of Africa. As we can see from some of the examples mentioned above, there are a lot of similarities between the effects of colonization and the justifications for the same in Africa and in India. One might feel that the book's ambitious scope occasionally sacrifices depth in certain areas. With so many topics to cover, some regions and periods might receive less detailed treatment than others. Nevertheless, this is a minor quibble in a work that otherwise offers a broad and informative overview. As Badawi puts it, I hope I have demonstrated that Africa has a history, that it is a fundamental part of a global story and one that is worthy of greater attention and respect that it has received so far. She most certainly has. Overall, An African History of Africa is a significant contribution to the field of African history. It is an essential read for anyone interested in gaining a deeper understanding of the continent's past and its ongoing influence on the present. Zeinab Badawi's expertise and thoughtful analysis make this book a valuable resource for both scholars and general readers alike. I give this book 4.5 out of 5. The paperback version of this book is available for around 650 rupees on Amazon India, and the hardcover version is available for 39.6 USD on Amazon USA. And the book is also available in Kindle and Audible format. I have given the respective buy links in the show notes. Please check them out for the latest prices. Last but not the least, thank you for spending a valuable time listening to this book review. Really grateful. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Histology podcast on your favorite podcasting app, and also feel free to leave a review. Also, please check histology.com for all previous episodes. Thanks and looking forward to hearing from you. Take care and bye.